Okay, good morning. I'm Retin Tedeke. People have often wondered why, as a manager of a major farm project in Nigeria, my focus primarily is on cultural integration, cultural revolution, cultural realignment as a source of national growth. If we don't, as a people, focus on real cultural revolution, the development that we seek for Nigeria as a country will never come to pass. The reason is because majority of our population are in rural Nigeria. That is key. You see, when we talk about the concept of ruga, the rural grazing area, whatever they call it, we must devolve our mind, stop abusing our thought process, and make it look as if it's just a fool and anything. No, no. You must begin to look at it as a means of integrating rural Nigeria in a cultural process that is capable of driving real national growth. And the farm is an example. This is a clinic, right? This is a clinic. And this clinic is able to treat anyone in the local community that is ill. That is a police officer, armed, security. This is my office. Now, in this office, please bring my power for me. In this office is where I run my business. It probably may not look like one fantastic office in Abuja. This is palm wine, local palm wine. First, let me give to our ancestors, a little bit to our ancestors. Now, this palm wine is from Nasarawa State. You see, from medical to roll palm wine to your local office to local tools for fabrication, you are already building an industry. Now the question is always, what is the cost of industrialization? What so many of us fail to realize that the cost of rural industrialization is actually very cheap. What will it cost to create laterite road in most of rural Nigeria? Absolutely next to nothing. What will it cost to build rural power infrastructure? Next to nothing. What will it cost to create rain-fed dams across almost all the senatorial districts in the country, or all the 774 local governments in Nigeria? Next to nothing. But you see, we focus on white elephant project. Person when we say people know the shop well, they won't build airports. What do you want to carry the airport do? All of the zones in this country, all of the north, the south, the west, the east, all the key zones in this country, you don't need more than 50 or so airports in Nigeria. You have more than enough already. You don't need flyovers. What did they carry them do? You need developmental projects, and they must create rural, they must integrate rurally and become cultural. The reason is straightforward and simple, and I'm going to take you around the farm to see one or two of this. When your revolution is cultural, when your economic revolution is cultural, when you're answering the cultural question as a part of the Nigerian national question, what you do is you look at what is available locally and integrate it in your production process. That's what you do. But when your development does not consider the need of the local people, when your development does not consider the need of more than 50% of the people, it not fit work. So as I take you on a walk and I take you on this ride, I want you to be mindful of one very key component, and that is for us to overcome insecurity, for us to grow our country, you need farm settlements like the Nigerian Farmers Group. You need farm industrial park like the Nigerian Farmers Group. You need farm cultural center that are also farm estate like the Nigerian Farmers Group. Because the essence is integrate the people, make them trust in the system, get their buy their belief, buy their trust. And once they trust and believe what you are doing, they would be more interested in survival and taking care of their future than carrying gun and becoming bandits and kidnappers and terrorizing our people. Let's take a walk. You see, the entire concept of Ruga, the discussion we have is all about the fact that no, Fulani herdsmen are destroying farms and so on and so forth. So we focus too much on the sentiment we focus too much on the sentiment rather than on the facts of the matter that is capable of creating support and structural growth for not just our people, but then for our country. This is Mekefi, a Fulani man. These are some of our cattle, as you can see them in the morning. Eruga necessarily does not have to mean the traditional Fulani enclaves, where they simply just hold their cattle, they feed them, and after a while, they take off. No. Eruga can be a modern industrial city. Eruga can be a modern industrial park. Eruga can be, you see, one of our new cow just gave birth to this small one. Now, Eruga can be a town that contains almost everything and is involved in producing anything. Okay? It's involved in producing anything. Now, look at it this way. The cattle needs food. You have your greenhouses that produce grass. You have land that you allocate for grass production. You have an industry that converts this grass into hay, burn them, and keep them for what you call feeding the animals later. You have hydroponic sections. You have those to take care of the need of the animal. Now, as if that is not enough, when you cultivate, your waste are processed as food for the animal. You see, all of this can take place within a senatorial district, within a senatorial point, where the farm you are setting up in that senatorial district has all that is needed. People are cultivating crops, people are processing, the animals are having food to eat. All of this is an integrated process. Once you integrate it and build the city becomes a source of job. The city becomes a source of food security. The city becomes a source of security for our people. The city becomes a source of stability for the indigents of that region and for the stability of your nation. Eruga is not a curse. Eruga is a blessing. The question is, when we focus on the sentiment of Ruga and ignore the economics of Ruga, we miss the vital element of real growth and development in our society. Let me tell you, and let us be very blunt with ourselves. The American cowboy and the Fulani herdsman are one and the same person. They are not different. But why the Americans had the Wild West era. There were times where the herdsmen on horses in the US, the cowboy, were a major source of problem for the United States. But today, what have they become? They have become a major source of real economic growth. The cowboy music is what? It's a massive industry. Their cows, their dairy, their cities, their industry has now become a $500 billion economy for the United States. What does that tell you? That tells you that the cowboy industry is equivalent to the whole of the Nigerian economy. It means that if we utilize their understanding of the cow, if we utilize their knowledge of the animal, if we utilize their input with regards to this process, and then put them as a part of a group, a part of a structure, then it will be impossible for them to become a threat to farms. It will be impossible for them to become a threat to security. It will become possible for them to become part of the solution to our challenges. The reality is this. Like I said earlier, cultural integration will drive cultural economic revolution. Cultural economic revolution will answer the Nigerian national question of not just food security, not just security of lives and property, but also the industrialization as a source of growth and progress. So when we talk about cultural integration, cultural revolution, cultural, not just revolution but evolution, we are simply talking about a people, a country troubled by the insanity of our past, by the stupidity of our insanity, and by our own inability to see that everything we need to make this country work is available. And all we have failed to do is to take advantage of our strengths and celebrate our weakness. That cannot work. Let us get to the rest and show you what is there. We started from my office. We moved to the ranch. Now, I didn't take you to the poultry, or neither did I take you to the goat pen, where we are setting up where we keep our goats, about 1,000 of them. Now we are the rice processing plant. The parboiling section is outside. The concept of Eruga is the concept of an industrial park and estates. where almost everything you need is feasible, where everything can be viable and it can be sustainable. Whether you are talking about rice that is cultivated in the field, to the process itself, it's all about the agenda for cultural integration, cultural growth, and cultural revolution. Like I said, we will never succeed as a country and a people if we don't focus our energy on the benefit of our opportunities or the benefit of what makes us great. And think about it in context. There is no nation in the world, my brother, none in the world, whose greatness is not driven by the insanity of our people to be ultra-nationalists. You have to believe in your country. You have to believe in the concept that drives your country. You have to believe in the fact that, yes, what is it that I have? How do I use it for the betterment of my people? We should stop having the conversation about oh, he's a Hausa Fulani, oh, he's Muslim, he's Christian, he's a Nupe man, he's an Yoruba man. Those conversations leads to a depressive state of national growth because you will not focus on how you grow your country. All you simply be focused on is on which church you belong to. Where do you concern me with the church and the mosque where you go? What's my business? Where do you concern me with your Jesus? Or your where do you concern me with all your religious people then? If you build your country, if you develop your state, if you build your people, what you then have is God working for you. Because you would have utilized the blessings and the resources that have been given to you by nature, or God as you call it, to build your people. So Eruga takes care of all of this concept of national development, put them in a single point where every component becomes a part of the larger good, of the greater good. So you can have your office and have your farm. You can have your ranch with your cattle. You can have your goats in their pen. You can have your pigs in their pen. And then you can have your processing plant. You can have your hay making machine. You are making hay. You have a groundnut oil processing plant. You are making groundnut oil. All within an ecosystem. And then you can plant trees, as you saw with the first video. We have over 5,000 palm trees here. Over 5,000 palm trees. Cocoa, we are planting cocoa this year. Sorry, no, not cocoa, coconuts. We did about 100 tests. They were not very good, so we're planting more. Guava, mango, cashew, orange. Plant all of them. Create an ecosystem that supports the environment. When you talk about environmental climate change and so on and so forth, you can use trees to create an ecosystem that is viable. So, I tell governments, I tell people who are making decisions, I tell them it is very simple to build the Nigerian national project by focusing on what can work, by focusing on the simple things. And what are the easy things? I always say this, and please, we should be mindful of understanding the Nigerian national question, because the Nigerian national question is an economic problem. It's an economic question. See, whether you're a PDP or you're APC, I am of the APC. But that's not the point. I voted and supported President Muhammadu Buhari. Probably will vote for him again if he decides to become General Muhammadu Buhari, not president, not the Democrat, as we are saying. If he decides to become the dictator, the benevolent dictator that we wanted, that we saw in the 80s, I will vote for him again. I love the vice president. He has been here. And I've been accused and I've been told that you said he did nothing. I don't expect, I repeat, I don't expect that the vice president will come to the farm and will dump billions for me on the table. Even if it does it, what is wrong with it? What is wrong with that? Would the farm not have deserved it? What is wrong with you? In the United States, you have people who lobby. The politicians are lobbied. You lobby politicians so that they can give you what they want. Is that not corruption? Every system drives on its own rules. So don't tell me, don't be sanctimonious with me and begin to tell me that what do I expect him to do? Come. The point is this. Ruga is part of the National Livestock Transformation Program. It's practically the whole ecosystem put in one. And that is what we have here. So when people make the argument about national development, when people make the argument about national development, when we debate endlessly and talk, and now how that comes out of Ruga as a concept is the Fulani herdsman wants to dominate Nigeria. Ross, when was the last time any town or city was conquered over the last 50 years? Over the last 50 years, when was the last time a city was conquered? cultivate, process, animal husbandry. All of these components can be a part of a larger group. And all you do is to knock all the pieces together and you can grow your country. That is how the cultural revolution will drive real national growth, real national economic growth. Until and unless we do that, we must accept the insecurity that has now bedeviled our country. You know why? Because people are hungry. Because people lack jobs. Because people lack opportunities. And those opportunities are all in rural Nigeria. What a village with 1 million hectares, what a state with 1 million hectares can produce with regards to job. Lagos may not be able to produce it. Because Lagos is already a built-up economy. The job demand will not be as massive as the job demand in a 10 million hectares of farmland in several states in the north. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Because when you have a population that's over 200 million people, with a youth, an average of 19 years old, a mostly youth population, make you fear. You're going to fear because what is coming is going to be really insane. I'm Retin Tedeke, as always. Let's talk about our country. Whoever is going to become president in 2023, I don't care. But if you are not a nationalist, if you don't see nationalism in your approach, if you are not willing to show to Nigerians that you are willing to be a dictator for the sake of this country, you are willing to be a Paul Kagame, a Rodrigo Duterte of Philippines, you are willing to be a Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, you are willing to be a Mahathir Ibn Mohammed of Malaysia. If you are not willing to be this, you are willing to be a Vladimir Putin of Russia. If you are not willing to be this for the sake of the national country, stop telling me about nice. What is nice to us? Why are you trying to be more democratic than democracy? What is the benefit for me and you? What is the benefit for you? Told us go to the farms, and we went to the farm. You told us go to the farm. The government will support you. Instead, most of the money for our intervention are sitting in dollar account all over the country, and then no. Where are the interventions? We know where these things, what the problems are. And then when I said I want to go back to the creek, he said no, don't go back to the creek. Why would we not consider that as an option? When rural Nigeria can produce what we need, give us, empower us, and then make us more stable when it comes to economic development. And you begin to tell us that democracy, rule of law, kill all of an idea. America, they practice the rule of law. Britain, they practice the rule of law. Eh? If there is freedom of speech, will Snowden, what is this man's name? Both Snowden and Snowden are run away. And ASEAN, would they still be in prison? Journalists that expose the secrets of the West, of the CIA, would they still be in prison? So please don't tell me about human rights and don't tell me about rule of law. The only rule of law Nigerians should begin to look for is the rule of law that puts us in a perfect state of economic growth for the interest of our people, where those who abandon our contracts are hanged. You tell me that there are abandoned contracts across the country, and I ask you a question, and you are looking at them and then smiling. Yeah? Road projects. A road project that should take us 5 years is taking us 20 years to complete. And then we say, you say what? And you want this country to change? Get the fuck out of my face. Sorry. The truth is, develop rural Nigeria, stabilize security, go to the farms, produce. Feed your people with regards to give your people food, give them jobs, and see how this country will become turn for the better. I am doing my part. This is Eruga. It is based on an idea to transform rural Nigeria, create opportunities, develop our country, and grow our people. The Vice President visited his farm on the 17th of October, 2019. Yes, I've not seen any impact. People say whatever they want to say, but let me put this on the table. I'm a big fan of the Vice President. If he picks up the APC ticket, I will vote for him. So let's get that out of the way. I'm a big fan of the Vice President. If he picks up the APC ticket, I'll vote for him. But let's be very clear on some things. See, I am a member of the APC. So this is, I'm bringing this in context so that people can understand where I'm coming from. And when Buhari said go to the farm in 2015 when he came to power, so many of us took the challenge, left the creek, came down to Abuja, tried to get involved in activism and political activism. It didn't really work. We didn't see the impact. And so we went into farming. In 2017, we approached NISA, because sometimes it's always good to get this information very clear. There was a smart farm program they sold. When Gati, as a community, decided to give us this land, we approached NISA. And then we said, NISA said, no problem, let's go and get the farm, we'll do whatever we can do. Nothing came out of it. We borrowed money. Not only did we start this farm with borrowed fund from Kyakia, we also had to borrow because when you started opening up land with the hope that government was going to intervene and government failed to get in, particularly with NISA, we had to borrow money. And the misconception so many people get, which I want us to clear today, is this: that you can do agribusiness at the scale we need to do it to survive as a country, take care of our people, feed our people, grow jobs, that you can do it at this scale on the private sector. Enough it work. No country has done it. So you shouldn't begin to accuse us and say, you should be able to manage it well. You cannot manage it well. So when NISA failed us in the first 2017, with all the noise they made, nothing come out. We had to continue to borrow. But in 2017, we applied to the central bank, the commercial agri credit scheme, for a 1.5 billion naira intervention, because as of 2017, we had opened up close to 1,000 hectares of farmland. So what I needed that time was about 1.5 billion. It took until 2020, about a year after the vice president came to the farm, for us to get approval for 734 million plus 150 million. So total for about 900 million. Less than 900 million. Now, by that time the approval came out, the farm had already built up value worth well over 5 billion. And like I always say, come here and see it. Gati is not in London. Gati is not in Guyana. Gati is not in Ghana. Gati is in Nasarawa State, Kokana local government, Nigeria here. Now, when that intervention came in, think about it. For every person that's running business, a 5 billion naira worth of business, of course, part of that is debt. Part of that is investment fund. Part of that is all so on and so forth. So all of those were part of the fund. Now, by the time we had done, finished, when that came in, it was vital. Let me be very clear. Without the commercial agri credit scheme that came from the CBN, we would have been dead. There is no two ways about it. So we put that to the table. But I didn't need 700 million. I didn't need 900 million. If my project was valued at 5 billion, and then you see that the project is physically present. I'm not sitting in one offices in Abuja or Lagos or flying, doing some fantastic app. The infrastructure was built. 500 people were employed. Communities were developed. Power line was installed. Dam were built. Road was constructed. When you tell me about management, please think about all of those. That I became government. That I became an institution within the system. I became the government to the people. I became the social security for them. Became a medical facility for them. For goodness sake, now business that they do. So when I said nothing came out of his witty, I mean nothing came out of his witty. And you have to be very clear on all of this. It is not an accusation of the vice president. No. It's accusation of a system that is supposed to help us. Sorry, people keep having this madness, this thought that should the vice president come with money? What is wrong if you come with money? Wait, I beg, tell me, what is wrong if you come with money? Is it coming to dash me money? Is the government giving me money to dash me money? Is it not part of national development and growth? I don't know, approving them trillions. How much has it been spent on government intervention? Where is the impact of the government intervention? Has it impacted on food production? Has it impacted on supply? Has it impacted on transportation? Where has it impacted? So when you tell me that he's supposed to come and give me money, I say, no worry. You, most of you know when they ask that question. If they give you money, come and give money, no go collect. If you write proposal, go CBN now, they give you money, no go collect. Because you be APC, you know me say no go collect them. The reality is, I will never be sanctimonious when it comes to having these conversations. The realities are the reality. I need the right intervention blend to be able to continue what I am doing. It is not, I have said it before and I'm going to say it again. You cannot be talking about Ruga and you don't come here as a template. You cannot be talking about the National Livestock Transformation Program, the NLTP program, under the Office of the President, and you will not come here to see it, to use it as a template. Because we built it as a template. Behind you is a sport facility. On this side is a rice processing plant. Behind you is a security post. On this side is a granule processing plant. Here is a maize processing plant. On the other side, you have cattle. You have poultry. On the other side, you have residents. What is it that you're looking for as a development model that is not here? Oh, I'm too angry. You know, if not, you know, go first. So look, I know it's political season, so people will take your word to mean whatever they want it to mean. But the facts are the facts. We are not being encouraged to go massively into agriculture. As I speak to you, the number of hectares under cultivation in this country is dropping drastically because those who dare to dream were burnt. Their fingers were burnt. Go and look at the agri story. Almost every person that got involved in agribusiness between 2015 and today is regretting that decision, except those who are doing audio farming. That is the reality. So when I put my information on the table, don't make it look as though I am saying something that is out of the ordinary. Guy, our farmers will be. These are palm trees in Nasarawa State, as you can see them. They are dressing them this morning, as you can see. Palm trees in Nasarawa State. We planted 5,000 of these. 5,000 palm trees. Look at tricycles all around me. I should have 20 of this. Each unit of this tricycle currently, each unit of this tricycle we've seen, is costing about 1.2 million. When I started this farm, each one of these tricycles was costing us just about 500,000. When we started, it was costing us that little. Now, each one of those ones is costing about almost 1.5 to 2 million today. That is from almost over 300% increase between 2017 and 2022. Now, cost with that. So, when I make this request, and meanwhile we fabricate here, what is wrong? And I've said this on several times. I've written about it. I've written to agencies. What is wrong in us having developmental partnership program? Then I say nothing. You think it is nothing? How can anybody be employing 300 to 500 people? When farming starts, there'll be up to 500 people working here on temporary basis. We pay them anywhere from 700 naira to 2,500 naira. Electricity, they provide. I have to give small credit. Light has improved in the last couple of days. I don't know, maybe water don't they? Imagine, we wait for water first before light to improve for your country. Don't be madness with that. So, the realities are the realities. What is the impact of this visit to the farm? None. Nothing. So, put a gun in my head and blow it off. I said it again, nothing. Are they here? Are they got to come beat me?